Nomination of Atiku Abubakar, presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Frank Shaibu, may have stirred some controversy after I asked the Presidential Election Petitions Court, PEPC, to explain to Nigerians and the world how the header of President Bola Tinubu's legal team at the tribunal was found on the certified true copies, etc., of the judgment. In a statement on Saturday, Shaibu, after a needless delay to avail the PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar and his legal team with the certified true copies of the judgment, the Presidential Election Petition Court should come forward with explanation to why it affixed the header of the respondents on the CTC copy of its judgment, even when the copies sent to the petitioners did not have the same header. They said this was just one of the many questions begging for answers from the court in the aftermath of the judgment that dismissed the petition of Atiku Abubakar and his PDP, wondering why it availed Tinubu and his legal team to have a first receipt of the CTC of the judgment before the plaintiffs. Well, I have in the studios here one of the lawyers of the All Progressives Congress, Gani Rotimi Arobo, to respond to the issues raised by the opposition People's Democratic Party, the aide Shaibu to Atiku Abubakar. What's the truism about all these? Is there any foul play? Is there any hanky-panky, as some others would say?
First of all, let me thank Arise because oftentimes progressives criticize Arise TV, for its stance on some topical national issues. But on this occasion, it was Arise TV that reached out to us and wanted to hear the other side of the story and also help Nigerians understand what the issues are. Now, I will begin by saying that with respect to this needless controversy that has been stirred by Frank Shaibu, this is what happens when probably the head of your IT is a graduate of home economics. It's a sad reflection of how they work over there. And it does not help anybody, particularly the Atiku presidential campaign team, that such a mundane, basic issue would be escalated to the levels that it has been escalated to. What had happened was that we applied, while in open court when judgment was delivered on the 6th, it was PDP's own lawyers that first of all told the court that they needed a copy of the judgment, and the court obliged that, look, by tomorrow... It
is obligatory.
Exactly.
I mean, it's
exactly.
not in... They don't
no,
hide
but given
this,
the volume of the judgment, you would expect that maybe a day or two after. But the court said, by tomorrow, you can approach the registry. Copies of this judgment, 800-page judgment, will be available for pickup. And everybody made applications. We also applied, because the Tinubu legal team has a comprehensive secretariat set up for this purpose. A coordinator with several persons who are doing specific roles, IT people, and all. We are coordinating over 100 lawyers on this very project, right? And that has been the way that we've been working from the beginning of the petitions. Now, we approached the registry. We paid the prescribed fee. And on the day that we were given a copy of the judgment, PDP was given first before we were given a certified true copy on that day. I have the printed copy of that judgment with me here. As you can see, there is no headline inscription on this.
I was just going to ask that,
Exactly.
Maybe for the benefit of the viewers, if the camera can catch this, what Frank Shaibu had said earlier in the statement is not here.
Exactly. And he confirmed that even in his own statement, to say that the copies that the petitioners received from the registry of the court, which is the copy that you must work with.
That's the CTC.
That's the
certified true copy.
That copy did not come with the header. So if Shaibu saw header, he should have called his IT department to say, how did this get there? If it's not used to the fact that documents can be scanned and watermarked electronically. So what happens is that the Tinubu presidential legal team has a standard operating procedure where every document emanating from it must be stamped electronically to indicate that it's authentic and it is from us. When we stamped this document electronically, we circulated it amongst our lawyers for their consumption, preparatory for whatever the other petitioners will be bringing forward. That is how we work.
And some lawyers, you know, that I've spoken to privately, said that this is a very thorough job. 800 an 800-page document, you know, judgment, read and delivered. That the standard practice would have been an abridged judgment and said details, you know, will be provided later.
I think the Court of Appeal was very sensitive to the nature of these petitions. The elections itself were charged because of...
Particularly with the all eyes on the judiciary.
Well, they should have had their eyes on their petition and presented a better petition instead of focusing on what they had no control over. The judiciary does not work like a marketplace. The reason why lawyers go to school for 5 years and 1 year in the law school is to learn how to present your case before a court of law. If you don't present your case properly, the court will not grant you what you're asking for. And it is impossible for you, with all fairness, to query or question what the court has done in this matter. Why? Because every election that you challenge is built on a pyramid. At the base of that pyramid is the end product of elections at each of the polling units in Nigeria. For the presidential election, over 176,000 polling units. Now, how can you say you won an election without bringing people who signed as agents from those polling units to come and say, this is what I scored, but this is what INEC announced, which is different from what I scored? That's what the court was saying. For laymen to understand, the petitioners had a very basic duty, which they did not perform. And the court cannot aid you. And Justice Mistura, in her judgment, in her contribution, because it was all 5 justices concurring, right? In her own contribution to this judgment, she literally hit the nail on the head when she said that the petitioners were fixated on the fact that they won the election, without bothering to say, let us take the necessary step to establish the fact of whether or not we won or lost. It is that fixation that has driven them to also make this mischievous publication, asking the presidential presidential tribunal to explain why the presidential legal team puts a watermark on its own copy of the judgment.
I think some lawyers too are looking at the judgment. Some lawyers have been speaking about another fixation, about the FCT and the 25%. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court had made a ruling which the appeal court quoted in Omishore and was it Aregbeshola?
No, the Supreme Court's decision.
It's talking about, you know, talk first. That's talking about, you know, the IREV used, and two, you know, about the FCT and the 25%.
Okay, let's quickly discuss IREV.
Yeah,
IREV, so that laymen can understand us.
Sure.
If you follow football, football is played on a football pitch, right? But because we're in Nigeria, and you possibly follow the Premier League, while they are playing in London.
I follow the Nigerian League.
Okay, Nigerian League. Okay, whatever. We follow the Nigerian League.
I still watch 3S.
While you are playing in Akure, right? You can sit in the comfort of your home to watch that very game live. And when a goal is scored, you can see it on your TV screen because of the advent of technology, right? However, if there is a glitch, and by some...
Bring your analogy to the law, to legal
now, IREV was merely a viewing portal that INEC said, by this viewing portal, you can sit in your home and see what is happening in every polling unit. IREV was not a collation platform. It was not an electronic collation platform. The process for collation of election results still remains manually, right? Now, whatever you see on the IREV does not change the outcome on the ground. The outcome on the ground is dictated by Form EC8A, which is the polling unit result.
That's what the court has affirmed.
Exactly. So just like your football match, if your TV is showing 2-0, it doesn't affect the fact that there's only been 1 goal scored on the pitch. So what their fixation was on IREV to say, simply because you did not beam the results live for everybody to see it, there
does not invalidate.
It does not invalidate what happened. And particularly when each political party had agents in all of the polling units. Some did not have in all, but some had in 2/3 of those polling units. Now, they had a first line sight as to their performance from their own agents.
And they always have a copy of it.
And they often have what you call a situation room, where each of these copies, now to even interest you more on this very point, every agent gets what you call a counterpart copy of the original. Now, when you apply to INEC for certified true copy of from EC8A, what INEC is giving you is exactly the same copy of what your agent already has. In law, you can tender what your agent has without reference to INEC. That is why the court kept saying that you ought to have brought that your copy.
I thought we saw that in the Uzodima's case
where the police brought their own copy.
And a lot of Nigerians still don't understand the nitty-gritty of the evidence presented by the police. And they said the judgment was procured. Well,
that is with respect to
quickly for the FCT, because we don't have enough time.
For the FCT, I think the judgment of Justice Bolaji Yusuf, Mr. is more direct on that point.
Succinct.
Where she said, look, this is a country where we uphold democracy as a baseline principle. Now, if that is the case, it means that every vote must count. And every Nigerian's vote must be equal to another Nigerian's vote. The problem and the danger with interpreting FCT votes as being different from all other votes cast across Nigeria is that you attach weight to those votes and make them special votes over and beyond the votes of all other Nigerians. So we will then have two classes of citizens. Some who live in FCT, some who live in the rest of Nigeria.
So we would all just migrate to the
FCT.
So it is so that our votes will be very special.
It is to cure that confusion that the court said, no, that interpretation is against the letter and the spirit of the Constitution.
Thank you very much. I think if Nigerians care enough, they can get a copy of this.
Absolutely.
I got this one already.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Gani. Thank you, Gani Arobo. He's a lawyer, a legal member of the APC legal team at the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal. Thanks for coming.